Hi, I'm Mandy and I'm here to tell you the story today of the Cave of the Treasure. And this story, as imaginative and fantastic as it is a real story. It all happened in 1961, March 21st, 1961. Easy to remember, an equinox day. And technically, I was still a teenager at that time. Well, I turned 20 2 weeks later. I was in service in the Israeli army, and I was asked if I wanted to volunteer to join an archaeological expedition. And I said yes. They needed a paramedic and some other people for safety and security and services and so on. The entire idea was to go and look for more scrolls in the Dead Sea area. Let's take a look where we are. We are in the Middle East, and you can see that you have Israel in the middle, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey. And if we look closer, you can see there is Israel, Jordan, the Sinai Peninsula, and here is whatever is left of the Dead Sea. And our place is going to be right here. Used to be Dead Sea, salty waters there. This is a satellite map and shows what's left of the Dead Sea, but here in the Dead Sea, what we have is a sea that is about 1,000 feet under sea level. And it's salty, it's greasy, and it's deadly. And we were going there where at the beginning some scrolls, Dead Sea scrolls, were found about 40, 50 years earlier. And we were looking for some more. I was with an expedition with a famous, legendary archaeologist by the name of Pessach Bar-Adon. Pessach Bar-Adon was a legend in many ways. He was the Indiana Jones of his time in the 60s, 70s. And what we got there is that we found unexpectedly in a cave some artifacts that, as when they were discovered, it turned out to be unbelievable. Unbelievable. There were some 425 objects there. Nobody expected it. And the objects were cliff ranked, metal, ivory tusks, and other things, and human remains. Altogether, there were 432 objects in the cave. This is our Indiana Jones of the times, Pessach Bar-Adon. And we would sit in the desert, and we'll see the desert in a moment, at night, and listen to his stories around the bonfire, cooking Turkish coffee. And it turned out that what we found was findings from the Chalcolithic period. What is the Chalcolithic period? Well, Chalcolithic is really a Greek word. Chalco in Greek is copper, and lithos in Greek is stone. So it's the stone, it's the Copper Age. Copper Age is the early phase of the Bronze Age. Bronze is stronger than copper because it's an alloy with tin. research showed later that the findings go back over 5 millennia earlier. Those findings really preceded the age of the pharaohs in Egypt, older than King Tut. First was the Stone Age, and that was 6,000 to 7,000 years ago. Then came the Copper Age, Chalcolithic period, like 5,500 years ago. And then when tin was added to copper, men learned to create bronze. Bronze is much tougher. Here we are, and those are original pictures from 1961 from that book. And down under the steep walls of the canyon is the Dead Sea. You fall a good 1,000 feet down, and you're really dead. Here on the table is our base camp. Here you see a creek, a canyon, a narrow canyon, and here you will see the entrance to the cave. How we got there? Well, we had to go around to set up base camp here. During mornings, we will go jump over the cliffs and walk over and come down with a rope ladder into the cave. Some 10 to 12 days went by, and there were no scrolls and there were no findings. And this is a model picture from the age of the digital cameras. This is a kind of steep jumps we had to do in order to move from one ring to the other, from one wall to the other of the canyon. And if there's any rain there, the water will come down gushing, and literally when that happens, to the present day, people can die. This was our base camp. There was no access to it while we were there, except as you see with an occasional helicopter. The ambulance was my ambulance. We had water from trailers, tank trailers, and we had a mobile kitchen. We slept in those little scout tents, and then we went digging. And then, here is how we had to jump. And when there is a lot of water here, if you fall into this gush, you cannot survive. It was scary, but that's modern day, and it's dry. Here is the entrance to the cave. And in order to get into the cave, we will go down with a ladder, rope ladder, and with baskets, and bring our picks and our little tiny shovels and dig there inside. This is a recent picture that was taken probably from a helicopter. And then on this historic day of March 21, 1961, this was found. What a surprise, what a surprise. Look at all the objects here. Strange things. If you can identify here something that looks familiar to you, I doubt it. You wouldn't. And here is our lead archaeologist staying late in the evening into the night with a lamp. He's the only one who had a camera there, by the way, a big one, bulky. And he was looking with wonderment on this thing. And it turned out to be an uncovered hoard. he guessed correctly that it was from the Chalcolithic period, and then the fact was that it was really confirmed by isotopic studies what it is. I took that famous picture and I did some photoshopping so you see the original finding, how it looked like, but more impressive. There are tusks, there are all kind of strange objects. Look at them. There's a mat here. And within that cave there were also human remains. It took years, it took 10, 12 years to research what the meaning and what is really the origin of those findings and those objects. The objects were cleaned, they were made of copper, and they were 5,500 years old, and when they were polished and became a museum-worthy objects, here's what we saw. What do you recognize here? You can say, oh, it's candle holders, oh, it's a crown, it may be a whatever you want to say, maybe. Look at that. What is that? That was found there. It was cleaned. It's not a coat hanger. It's not a hat hanger. You can guess what it is. Maybe it's an object of worship made of 5,500 years old copper. Call it what you want. This is amazing. There is nothing like that that is so old and so magnificent. Those findings are now stored at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. Some are in the Hecht Museum in Haifa in Israel, and some are in the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art. Artifacts. What are those? 240 of them. You can say, oh, you put them on a stick and you fight with them or kill with them. Who knows? Somebody called it mace heads. We really don't know what it is. And what is that? Oh my. What is it? This is beautiful. This is not a coat hanger. Look at that piece of art. Those are sculptures of a mountain goat. Here's the mountain goat. They were there for thousands of years. And here are tusks turned into ivory objects. No one knows to present day for sure what it used to be. Eventually, all the material was compiled into all the research studies, and 2 books came out, published. One, as you see, is the English edition of the Judean Desert Studies, and the other one is the Hebrew edition. I just brought this picture to give you an idea how this, what's called Nahal Mishmar, looks like. It's a wide, wide, wide canyon. Sometimes it's wide, sometimes it's narrow. And on a nice day, many Israelis going hiking there. When it rains, all of a sudden it starts to sprout green leaves. When it is real rainy, there's very little greenery, but this is an arid mountain. Very fascinating. And those are credits to some good people that helped me put it together and various sources.